A good afternoon. My name is Judy Chemtai, and welcome to our first interview with Gamers Talk Show. With me is a young and brave lady who won the coveted UNSA chairperson and became the University of Nairobi President. She won with a landslide, and today we're going to know who is Mali. We're going to have a very interactive session, and we'd like to know who is Monica Malith.
Thank you so much. My name is Malith Monica. They know me as Ambassador Malith. That was the name that came up during my campaigns. So they call me Ambassador Malith. I'm from law school, a third-year law student, Parklands campus, and the current chairperson, UNSA. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. You are very much welcome to our talk show. And my first question to you is, what inspired you to pursue your studies in Kenya, and how has your experience been so far?
It's nothing so much that inspired me because I did not come here as a refugee. I did not come here to study. I came here as a refugee. Sorry for that. So during the issues and the conflict that were in South Sudan, I came to Kakuma with my aunt to seek refuge, and from there started my studies. So it's not more of what inspired me to come and study here, but Kenya was a safe space for me to come and stay.
Wow. Could you tell us a memorable challenge which you went through as you grew up in South Sudan before you came to Kenya as a refugee?
I cannot say it was a challenge. I was just living like any other person because that's the life I knew, and I didn't know anything that was so important beyond being in localities. I'm from a nomadic pastoralist home, and we moved with cattle from one place to the other. So the movement and waking up early was the challenge, and having to travel long distances. I remember there was one journey that we had to wake up at 4. The journey started at 4 a.m. in the morning until midnight the next day. So that was it's a memory that I like, and I didn't feel like it was a big challenge. So I don't call it as a challenge. I take it up as a normal life growing up until I came to Kenya later, and I knew that there were better chances and a much more pleasant life. Yeah, but I enjoyed my life back in South Sudan. But the issues was when there was the the conflict that arises between communities, whereby you just hide and you're in a war zone and such things happen. So, but it was
nice. Yeah, and later on I'll ask you, like, as you're speaking, there is I don't know if you know, but there is a fighting going on in South Sudan.
Right now?
Yeah, right now. I don't know if you are familiar with it, but before that I'll have to ask you this question. Where you said you came to Kenya as a refugee, when was that year?
2008. July 14th. That's when I came to Kenya.
Yeah, you know, many people are interested. They like to know from what specific point how did you catch up until you enrolled in the University of Nairobi? How you became interested in politics? What was your motivation for you to run for the President, University of Nairobi?
It's such a long. When I came to Kenya in 2008, I have never been to any class before. So I started schooling in 2009. That was in a school in Eldoret called Central Primary. So I only knew my mother tongue, that was Dinka, and I did not communicate. So when I went to school, I was a bit older than the rest. So instead of being taken to the other session of primary pre-unit, I started in class 1. And I think I was the last one in class because I didn't know even how to write and how to communicate. But at the end of the year, I think I was position 1.
Wow.
So the school awarded me, and I was given free meals because it was a public school. The only thing is free meals that I was given. Yeah. And my transition to high school, that is from primary school. I was in I went all the way to class 3. Then I felt I was too good for 2 classes, so I skipped from class 3 to class 5, and I went to a new school, and that's where my leadership started. From the time I was in a class monitor, all the way to class 6 when I became the head girl, all the way to class 8. Yeah. So that's where my leadership started. And,
Okay, aside now from your growing up and everything, now let's come to your leadership. What was your strength? What's that one thing that motivated you take up your role as a leader?
One thing that motivates me to lead is service, because this, apart from it being political and having your personal interest, there is what that gives you joy, and service gives me joy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what are some of the key values and principles that maybe guide your leadership?
When I was doing my campaigns, and it has always been in my leadership, was that the principle of integrity, inclusion, innovation. Because as students or as leaders, what we do is that we enter into leadership, and a few of the challenges we face is handling our own self.
Okay.
Because you might come up and promise that I'll do this for the students, I'll do 1, 2, 3 things. But if you don't check on your own principle of integrity, you will not serve as you say. So I chose the principle of integrity because integrity means being accountable, being transparent, and being very honest. And my weakness is honesty, very straightforward as a person. Yeah. And when it comes to integrity, when you have the integrity to serve and you do things in an open way, you become inclusive enough that now, remembering the number of students I'm serving, very many of them, about 50,000 students, it needs a lot of inclusion, even in your own decision making. So when I have to make those decisions, I have to include even from starting with my team, and even to the students, and even to the school administration. And then inclusion will help you come up with new ideas to solve the very many problems that we have.
Yeah, talking of solving very many problems that you have currently, as far as students, organization and bodies concerned, the wider Students' Council now, what is the time you remember? I believe that before you became now, you took the whole leadership in the University of Nairobi. Probably you are a leader, student leader at Parklands. And so when was the time you could remember that you made a very difficult decision? When was your time that your leadership was a really stepping stone towards achieving your goals?
I was the international students representative in the council, still not in Parklands overall. And one thing it taught me is that the University of Nairobi is open to everyone else, provided you're a student of UoN, you can rise to any height. So one thing I will appreciate about my previous position is that it opened my eyes, and I knew that university politics was not only for Kenyans. Because when I was staying in Parklands and I was just a normal student in first year, because I was just in first year, second year I became a leader. So it taught me that the university politics are open to anyone else. So that's why today I think I can credit my winning or my aspiration to be a president to that position I hold before. And it has really helped me connect to the administration and to even to understand how do they do the things and what is this core value they have.
Yeah, I've been seeing your status, I've been following your profile, social media. Yeah, and I like to ask you, what is really, apart from what I see, what's your hobbies? What's your interest apart from academics and leadership?
My hobbies is maybe I can say, okay, sometimes you say hobbies to please people, but not really because we have. But what I like doing is being a mentor, and I do a lot of mentorship to my fellow students, especially being a refugee and coming up from a very harsh background whereby you're exposed to kind of violence and all of that. Yeah. And there are interviews for scholarships. So I think I'm under a scholarship called Daphne under Wendell International. So when we went for interview, I realized that most of the refugees didn't know how to handle these interviews. So I decided to, when it is my long holiday, I go back to high schools and primary schools to teach them on how to be productive member of a society, by even engaging in community events and trying to help one another. And even when it comes to interviews, what are these things they expect or an interviewer expects to hear from you, not you just being vulnerable, but as a member of a society who is ready to bring about a change. Okay. So I like talking to people, encouraging them and letting them accept themselves. The biggest challenge we have as refugees is that we want to be sympathized with most of the times. when we only want to be seen as very vulnerable. So I'm also out there telling them you can rise to any height. You don't have to always tag yourself or your problems. No one should know what you're going through. And being a refugee and having found refuge in Kenya is already an added advantage. So you should just take up any opportunity you have and rise with it.
Yeah. Having in mind with all the tasks, with all the work, all the responsibilities that is in your office right now as the president of the University of Nairobi, we all know that it's a world-class university. Yeah, I'll have to ask you this question. How do you balance between those responsibilities and your academics?
I usually draw clear lines, and I think you've been contacting me to have this show with you. That because of my academics and my leadership role, I give priority. And I know I cannot leave my class for a leadership calling. That is, if I have an event that is happening and I have a class, I will prefer going for my class. So we give priority. This is just an aside kind of things that we do. So politics comes after my classes. Actually, it was affected a little bit when I was doing the campaigns because you have to go to early in the morning, you have a meeting with this faculty. That time, my classes were a bit affected. But the moment I won elections, the next Monday I was attending my classes, and I'm just from a class. So everything, I'm handling them well. So we give priority to what is important.
And on top of that, what advice will you give to students who are really trying, who are struggling out there to balance between the academics and the extracurricular activities?
Before you venture into anything, you have to know exactly what are the challenges that it comes. When you know what is going to come about with it, you know that I might do this or not do this. So it gives, what I will tell them is that you just have to have a plan of how you will do your things.
Yeah. Okay. Could you maybe share a fun fact that maybe people don't know about you?
Okay, I know most of you think I'm a very strict person here. But I'm very friendly, yes, and open to ideas. So in most cases, what people see is the very tough Monica who is not even approachable, but a very approachable person.
Yeah.
And when I came in, I was just like, I know all of you are like, hey, she's. You had all opinions about me, but I know I'm a very free person. I can talk to anyone.
Yeah.
I can do anything, but I don't take alcohol. Yeah.
Okay. So, talking of you, Monica Malith, since the day you started all these, very many young people have been looking up to you. They have been like, wow, what really a person. I have to ask you this question. What do you think? Okay, I know most of the students or most of the people are looking up to you, really want to be in this space or are trying to reach the place where you are. And most of the time we find them to be dealing with a lot of pressure that comes their way. They handle a lot of just things that comes their way, difficulty and challenges. What throughout this thing as you are going through leadership, what are some of the techniques that you have found to be the most effective way to handle your pressure and stress, even during work, academic, schoolwork, yes, and even while interacting with people?
Having a stand. Because when you don't have a stand, you can be swayed. And when you're swayed, you will be like trying to make a decision between your previous decision and what has been brought up. And that is what is affecting people in politics, especially formation of teams. Like, let me say just an example of what happens. So when I was vying, I had to form my own team. And now people come up with their own opinions of people they want to be in your team and people they feel are better than the rest. If I didn't have my own stand, I don't think I would have won these elections because anyone will come. There are so many wise men, as they call themselves, the wisest. There will be the moderate wise people. So I will tell some of them sometimes, use your wisdom, do better things. Not to come and make a lot of confusion. So sometimes we miss to have a stand. And that's why anything that comes your way, you feel like can be a better decision. So have a stand, make it as early as much as possible, and make it your stronghold.
I have a question.
Yes.
At any point of your life, do you wish maybe to go back one day to your country?
Actually, my country is everything to me.
Okay.
And I'm a proud South Sudanese. That's one thing I'll say. And I usually go back to my country to mentor students back in high school and primary school.
Yeah.
I remember the fact that I'm a refugee, so my travel is very restricted. But I usually request and I tell them, just standing before them as a law student from the University of Nairobi.
Yeah.
And I would say that education in South Sudan is a privilege. So I take that as a privilege, and as I would like to share it with my fellow South Sudanese, especially the ladies, and so that they can see there's nothing impossible. If I can do it, then why not them? And then our families, our parents or people back in South Sudan don't take education seriously. So if I come just dressed the way I'm dressed and someone sees me, they say, I would want my daughter to be like Monica.
Yeah.
So that's the best way we can approach trying to bring about an increase in the number of students who are going to school, especially girl child.
Is that an issue back in your country? What are some of the challenges that face young people in your country?
Many challenges like any other person is facing here in Kenya. But one of the biggest challenges that we are trying to adapt as a country. We are the youngest nation. In terms of education, we are not that advanced. So, and with ladies, maybe early marriages, trying to come up with families, early pregnancies, and trying to know exactly to balance culture shock. That's what our country is going through, because you are on social media, you're seeing a lot of things, young family goals. So a young person will just say, let me get married to have a young family, but they don't even know how to handle it and deal with it.
And what role are you taking in addressing those issues apart from mentorship? I heard you say while you are giving a speech during that day of your commemoration, you said you had, is it Monica Fund?
Malith Care.
Malith Care Fund. Now, what apart from those mentorship programs, maybe even Malith
Care Fund.
Yeah, Malith Care Fund is one of them. What do you see? How are you going to address those issues later on in life?
Okay, for me, I'm a giver, and people call me, she's rich, she has a lot of money, but just because I have a big heart to give, not because I have a lot of money. And I know there is one thing that is so important in life, making someone smile and giving someone what they didn't expect. And I think in my own leadership in the previous term, I was, there is the allowances we are given. I will not mention the amount, but it's the allowances we are given. So I said, maybe to make someone pursue their education, because most of the students approach me with having no school fees, basic things like maybe missing milk, nakuinama. So I told myself I wasn't expecting this money. It wasn't in my plan. This is just about the way money that is coming my way. So what do I do with it? Let me help other students. And I used to pay for someone's fee, which I'm still going to continue with it. The salary I'm going to be receiving, I know I will channel it to someone who is a needy but bright student to help. And that's why we thought as a team, Malith Care Fund is not tagged to me, it's tagged to our team because our team was called Team Malith. So we're going to say that this fund will help provide the basic things, very simple things, very vital ones, like someone who miss lunch. We can say, maybe we can pay for them lunch and they'll be getting themselves supper. So that's why Malith Care Fund comes in, and it's something we are looking into doing it in more time and to help more students.
Yeah, wow. And how do you stay informed about the latest developments in your field, even of study and industry?
How do I stay informed? On that, I think I do research. When it comes to my studies, I read books. We are given articles and the guidelines on what to do at this academic time. So my classmates as well keeps me updated on what is happening and when is the next class.
There is always a thing that goes behind a successful person. It's always a mentor behind him or her. Maybe there is that one person who always motivates you, who always mentors you, so that you achieve the things you want to achieve along your way of as you are doing life. So maybe you could tell us about a person or a mentor who have had a significant impact on your life or career.
I pick mentors as I go. I don't have one permanent one because every stage has its own challenges. Like I'm in law school, my dean talks to me every lecturer if I feel like there's something affecting me. So I talk to people as time moves by. So I don't have a specific person I call back and say, no, you're my mentor. I have to always talk to them. No, I pick mentors as I go.
And what are some of the key lessons you have learned so far in your career? And how have they shaped your outlook on life?
One of the things that I will appreciate about being a law student is that law teaches you there is the people's opinions and there is what exactly you're supposed to do. Like if I was to listen to the opinion of people today, I will not be a leader, I will not be the president. Because people are telling me, you're a foreigner.
Yeah.
They should not be addressing me as a foreigner, they should be addressing me as an international student,
Yeah.
So I was told, you're a foreigner, you're a lady, you're from the previous government, and so that is people's opinion. So what law taught me is that it's strictly what is outlined in the Constitution of UNSA. So law has really given me to discern people's opinion and what is exactly expected of me to do.
Yeah. What do you consider to be your greatest achievement so far and why?
The greatest achievement?
Yeah.
Okay, having to follow up with my education is the biggest. How far I have reached is the biggest.
Could you tell us maybe about, speaking of that, could you maybe tell us about a book, movie, or song that has had a very significant impact on your life or worldview? And on that, I'll have to say, even as you upload your stories, your songs are usually about champions, Victoria.
My favorite song is this by an African woman. She's a backbone. She's wise enough to be a ruler. Yeah. So that's my favorite song because it shows me that she's a rich-skinned woman, a proud African woman, So that has been always my song because it describes exactly what I am, And out of that song, it compares an African woman to even the natural resources we have, like the river Nile and all of that. So that's where my favorite song is. That's my favorite song. Another thing is the book I read was called Judy the Nun. Judy was this lady who was married by, I read it when I was in class 7, yes. What about that book is this lady married a guy who dropped out in class 8. She was a class 8 leaver and then the lady was a Form 4 leaver. And then she went abroad for studies and the stereotypes that were being played that a woman cannot make it to that height while the husband is just a mere business person. That she could not be more educated than the man. So that is the book that encourages me. I've been trying to look forever, I don't find it anymore. So it's called Judy the Nun.
Wow. Okay, you've said that people address you as a foreigner. Some of the challenges you're facing is that you're being told you are a lady, even while going to contest for those leadership roles. I'll have to ask you, what are some of the biggest misconceptions that maybe you have heard, even from your classmates, even or maybe classmates, they have about your country or culture, and how do you go about addressing them? What do you always tell them?
In law school, I relate with everyone so well. Yeah, and there's none of my classmates who was never believing in me. And those people who were stereotyping me were maybe students from other faculties who don't know who Malith is. So I didn't focus on addressing them, I was focused on winning the elections.
Yeah. Wow. I'll have to ask you a question. To the next question, your campaign, you had a nice strategy. Strategy was all over. But then you could hear students saying, Malith was financed, Malith had
money.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll ask you a question. Was your campaign financed or was it sponsored? How did you go about it?
No one financed. Okay, people believe that it is my embassy.
Yeah, many people actually say it was their embassy.
My embassy had nothing to do with my campaigns. I just told them, because that's the country I'm coming from, I told them I'm going to be vying, so at least they know what I'm going to be going through. No one financed my campaigns. I knew I was going to buy this, buying it.
So you had a plan all along?
Yeah, I had been having
Same.
all the way from last year, 25th of March, when I said I'm going to buy next year.
Yeah, so
I was planning for them, I was saving my...
So all those money from your campaign, only you saved, or even your team? Or
my friends.
Or your friends?
My team members, yes. My team members came up.
So you knew all along who are going to be your team members? Even
no, I didn't know.
Uh-huh.
I constituted a team in February.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All the way from February, then I got people as late as early March.
Yeah. Wow.
So the issue of money is I give a lot,
Yeah.
Even if I have 2,000 Kenyan shillings and I get someone who needs 1,500, imagine I'll give you. So that's why they will say Malith has just so much to dish out. They don't know that the other part of me is I love giving and helping, But I take pride in it. It's good to have money. Who doesn't want money anyway? But not because of money that I won the elections. Even the way I was using my money, I was using it as a way of helping those students at the faculty level to win the elections. I wasn't bribing anyone. Yeah. It wasn't bribing.
Guys, that's a lesson. The more you give, the more you receive. That's how it's working with money. So on our next question, how do you see your career life evolving over the next 5 to 10 years?
I know I'm going to... Okay, you want to ask me about what is going to happen in politics? Am I going to be someone in South Sudan? Like, that's what you're trying to avoid.
Yeah.
But I don't know so much about that. And I wouldn't mind being in political spaces. Yeah, I won't mind, but I know I am someone who is interested in bringing more lively moments with the students and the youth.
Yeah.
So I want to do more engagement with the youth and use my law to teach and bring a change in South Sudan, because South Sudan is still a country that is very young, and even the legal system is still something that is growing. So I want to be part and parcel of developing the legal spaces in South Sudan.
Yeah. As part of that, how do you think your experiences as an international student have influenced your worldview and perspective on global issues?
On that, my being an international student, I can say gives you a different view and comparison between your own country and what is happening in Kenya. Mm-hmm. And I think I wrote something about South Sudan. Everyone blames South Sudan being a very chaotic country, civil conflicts and all of that. Mm-hmm. But I came to realize that people are just putting so much pressure on South Sudan. Mm-hmm. You didn't, we just hardly 11 years ago from our independence, we still expect it to be given time. But what the world has is that everyone has their own opinion. You have your own opinion about South Sudan. Everyone here in the room has their own opinion about my country. So what we should understand is that we have to know the differences that we have. As a country, what are the mineral resources? What are the things that we are doing, and for how long have we been evolving until? Have we been developing until this time? You can't compare Kenya to when it got independence. These clashes were there and the conflict was there. And I'm relating it with Kenya because this is where I'm staying and this is what I've seen. I have gone to different countries, but I know that we just accept we are different as countries. And I grow in your shoes. I don't like going abroad anyway. I don't like the overseas countries. I love being in Africa because this is where I'm going to be. I'm going to grow here, and the problems that I'm going to solve are for Africa. So why can't I just go here and see how things are happening in the long run with them?
Oh, yes. Okay. Over the past few decades, there have been a shift in global power and all that stuff. We know some of the major things affecting the world currently now as a whole. We have geopolitics. We have things to do with democracy and governance. We have a lot of things going on in the world and the perspective in which people try to bring. The NGOs also coming together. What do you see? What key roles do you see young people doing and pursuing? And what do you think are aside from the ones I've mentioned to you, what do you think are some of the major challenges which are being face today, majorly affecting the young people? And how do you, even if it's not to be solved today, what are the solutions that maybe you're going to provide in the near future?
As young people, we don't have to always play neutral, because what is happening is that you find a young person who's like, I'm neutral, I don't want to take part in politics. So that's our major problem, because if you make a decision today and you have your own stand and take side with what opinions you think suits you, then it will be better. So I'll just say about all these politics that are happening around, young people should take up a position and stop playing neutral.
Yeah. I'll have to ask you a question. There was an issue about giving out and disbursing of bursaries. Now they say, I'll have to give you an example in how bursaries are being disbursed in our country. When maybe I say I'll be a governor in University of Nairobi, and now I want to reach the students who are in various counties in our country, Kenya. You'll have to have, maybe I'll say, so that for students in your university wapate haraka, yani wakwe disbursed haraka na hizo bursaries zenye wameapply kutoka hizo counties zao. Maybe you'll have to know one or two people in watakusaidia. You see, maybe an MP constituency, or even someone mwenye ata speed up the process so that your students can learn. What are some of the collaborations you have made? What are some of the maybe networking you have made as far as our national government is concerned?
I just entered into this position. I just received office recently, and I'm still in the process of making those networks and in talks with who are the partners and who are the partners of UNSA and who are working in such spaces.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say like I have made so much about it. Remembering that we already in a semester that began long time ago, so we're going to start that new academic year.
Yeah.
But I can't say like I'm so much connected to politics. So what I'm doing is what is within the school.
Okay.
I'm still looking forward to partnering with other government offices and visiting them.
Okay, that's nice. How do you stay connected with your community and build strong relationships with others?
I go back. I take part in community leadership. I fellowship with them. I once in a while I go back and talk in community meetings.
Okay. Aside from the students' body, we have other students' organization. I think that brings the whole university now leadership as one. There is KUSA, there are many of them. Has your office maybe partnered or already collaborated with those such organizations?
Okay, one thing I will say about this KUSA is the entire Kenya University students. I don't know the mechanism in which they work. So I've not been so much interested in knowing what is happening, because I only see them on social media. I don't even know how they are elected into position. I don't even know what is their major role. Maybe I might be ignorant about it, but I've not so much seen the significance.
Yeah.
It's just making public opinions on what is happening to students and all of that. So, but I have not seen a groundwork whereby as student leaders, the first people should be approached as the student leaders. We should be sitting down and discussing the issues, but not this leadership on its own, and it doesn't partner with us and all of that. So I don't see so much to do with the KUSA things, because everyone. Okay, another challenge I face with it is that so many people introduce themselves as the Secretary General of KUSA, another person Secretary General of KUSA. So I've not been giving them so much attention and wanting to work with them, because until they know that they are this secretariat in KUSA and this is how we can work, they should be mentoring us maybe. So I've not seen their work. That's why I've not been so much interested in working with them. But I'm trying to maybe meet them and understand what is happening.
Yeah. Okay, so I think this is the last question I'm going to ask you. What advice will you give to other young people who are looking to make a difference in the world and pursue their passions and dreams?
One thing I will tell them is that always dare, because dare made me to be in this politics. It's all about dare. Dare to be different, dare to do things in a way that you think will be of impact. And then you also have to make critical decisions. You have to have critical thinking when making your decisions on what you want to do. Like there was a discussion that went about the mandamus that takes place.
Yeah.
So as a student, are you going on street because you need some changes and policies to be changed or anything like that, or are you going on street because people are going on street? So that thing is is an example that I'm going to give on how youth go into things that they don't have a decision, like they didn't have a critical thinking on what they want. Because if you look at it critically, there's much more that we need to be informed as students when it comes to making decisions.
Thank you so much, Malith. Yeah, so I give you 2 minutes. You give a parting shot. You address your students' body. Maybe tell them what's your project, what's your coming, what you have in store for them. Maybe others are in the wanashanga tangu Malith chukue atujasikia akiongea. So this is your time. Address the students.
Thank you so much. Hi, comrade. It's your ambassador here. It's no longer an ambassador of maybe international students, but an ambassador of all of you. And I know I'm coming on ground, that is to all your faculties, to talk to you, because my joy is by interacting with most of you. So be expecting me any day of the week, or especially on weekend, to kai pamoja. We just do 1, 2, 3 things together. And yeah, I'm looking forward to more interactions. Thank you.